Blake Lively's legal team declared a significant victory on Monday, June 9, following a judge's decision to dismiss Justin Baldoni's staggering $400 million countersuit against the actress. In a statement obtained by People, Lively's attorneys, Ezra Hudson and Mike Gottlieb, described the court's ruling as a total victory and a complete vindication, not only for Blake Lively but also for others swept into Baldoni's retaliatory lawsuit, including Ryan Reynolds, Leslie Sloan, and the New York Times. This ruling marks a critical turning point in the highly publicized and bitter legal battle between two Hollywood figures. The attorneys did not hold back in their response, labeling Baldoni's massive countersuit as a sham from the outset. They praised the court for seeing through what they called an abusive and retaliatory legal tactic. Hudson and Gottlieb made clear that their fight is far from over, signaling intentions to pursue further legal action seeking attorneys' fees, treble damages, and punitive damages against Baldoni, Steve Sarowitz, Melissa Nathan, and the other parties connected with Wayfarer, the company tied to Baldoni's claims. The dismissal came from U.S. District Judge Louis J. Liman, who granted motions to dismiss on Monday, effectively throwing out Baldoni's $400 million countersuit against Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds. The suit had alleged extortion and defamation against both Lively and Reynolds, as well as a separate $250 million defamation lawsuit Baldoni had filed against the New York Times. Despite the broad dismissal, Judge Liman's ruling was not an outright closure on all fronts. The judge left the door open for Baldoni's legal team to amend certain claims, specifically those relating to breach of implied covenant and tortious interference with contract, if they chose to pursue them further. Any amended complaint must be filed by June 23, which means the legal drama could continue in a more limited form. In his detailed ruling, Judge Liman examined the allegations made by the Wayfarer parties and found that they did not sufficiently allege that Blake Lively was responsible for any defamatory statements beyond those made in her complaint to the California Department of Real Estate, CRD, which the judge noted are protected under a legal privilege. While the plaintiffs argued that Ryan Reynolds and Leslie Sloan had made additional statements accusing Baldoni of sexual misconduct, and that the New York Times accused the Wayfarer parties of conducting a smear campaign, the court found that the plaintiffs failed to demonstrate that Reynolds, Sloan, or the Times seriously doubted the truth of their statements. According to applicable defamation law, this level of doubt is necessary for a defamation claim to be valid. Judge Liman further emphasized that the Wayfarer parties' additional claims lacked sufficient legal merit, leading to the dismissal of the amended complaint in its entirety. This ruling effectively curtails the expansive legal onslaught Baldoni and his affiliates had launched against Lively and her associates. The origins of this dispute trace back to December 2024, when Blake Lively filed a lawsuit against Justin Baldoni, her director and co-star in the film It Ends With Us, alongside other parties. Lively's suit accused Baldoni of sexual harassment and retaliatory actions, allegations Baldoni has vehemently denied. In response to Lively's allegations, Baldoni countersued with a massive $400 million lawsuit accusing her and others of extortion and defamation. Baldoni also pursued a separate $250 million defamation suit against the New York Times, claiming the newspaper's reporting was misleading and based on cherry-picked and altered communications that were stripped of necessary context. The Times has stood firmly behind the integrity of its reporting. Amid these legal battles, there have been significant developments that shaped the course of the case. Notably, a journalist clarified that Leslie Sloan never claimed Baldoni had sexually assaulted Lively, a distinction that impacted the credibility of some claims. Furthermore, Blake Lively agreed to withdraw two of her original claims: intentional infliction of emotional distress and negligent infliction of emotional distress, possibly as part of a strategic legal recalibration. The legal conflict between Lively and Baldoni has been closely followed by the public and media due to the high-profile nature of the parties involved and the serious nature of the allegations. The dismissal of Baldoni's countersuit represents a major setback for him and the Wayfarer parties, who had sought to turn the tables on Lively with their massive financial claims. However, Judge Liman's allowance for amendments to specific claims leaves some room for Baldoni's team to continue pursuing parts of their case, albeit on a narrower legal scope. Meanwhile, Lively's legal team appears ready to press on aggressively, aiming to recover costs and seek punitive measures for what they describe as abusive litigation designed to intimidate and retaliate. As of now, Baldoni's attorneys have not issued any public comments in response to the judge's decision or to the statement from Lively's lawyers. The coming weeks will be critical in determining whether this dispute will continue to escalate or if both sides will eventually seek to resolve their differences outside the courtroom.